Good evening. A few years ago, I decided to go to Scotland for a holiday. I did not have the sufficient funds to stay in a hotel, so I decided to stay in a hostel. It's in Carlacashe, on the other side of the bridge, which is the side that leads down to Portree and Skye. Those of you who listen to this recording and have been to Skye and Carlacashe, you'll know what I mean. Well, I booked into this hostel. Because they had no rooms, I went into the trailer in the back garden and paid, I believe it was about £5 a night. The heating was left on all night, so wasn't too bad. The next day, I went in, had my breakfast because you got to cook your own, and I went out for a walk for the entire day. Caught a couple of buses, done some hitchhiking, went down to Armadale and to Sleat, and caught the ferry across to Malay. Then later on, got a bus down to Fort William, and hitched all the way back down to my hostel at Carlacashe. So yes, a long, enjoyable day. Well, I cooked my evening meal. Now I'm sitting in the fire room, the lounge room, where the fire is burning, but not much heat's coming up because they'd rather spend their money on something else. So my coat is on, my jacket is on, my jumper is on. Yeah, believe it, it's cold in this room. And other people come in, so we have a chin wag. The next day, the manager says to me, "Excuse me, Mr. Dargan, may I have a word?" I said, "Sure, go for it." So we went into her office, had a word. She said, "Mr. Dargan, there was a complaint about you last night." So I asked, "Really? Who made the complaint?" She said, "The manager. I'm not at liberty to say." So I replied by saying, "What is the contents of the complaint?" She said, "I'm not at liberty to say. Just be careful what you say next time." And she left, and I'm thinking to myself, now this woman obviously lives in a different reality to the rest of us, because if I'm not allowed to know who made the complaint, and if I'm not allowed to know the contents or the context of the complaint, how is it I'm supposed to watch what you say in the future if I don't know what I'm supposed to have said to upset someone? Not all women are stupid, but the majority of them are. And this Australian was a fat one. You probably realised I've come across a lot of fatties in my travels. And she had the kind of mouth that would fit onto a Hoover or the other end of a compressor. It's so rubbery and big. In the dark, if you painted it in the dark with this paint that shows up in the dark, it would look like the rear end of a cow shitting. I do not like people who tell me what to do or advise me what to do or not prepared to give me the reason why or what I'm supposed to do to upset someone. So what did I do? I realised then I have no rights as to someone who stays in the hospital, because I complained the previous evening that people in there were making too much noise. And she said, she said to me, "Well, you're not a backpacker, are you? So as it's not 10 o'clock yet, I'm not doing anything about it." So after this fat, slapping mouthed Australian bitch said what she did, I felt offended. So I checked out the next day, although I had 2 days left in the trailer park, in the cold trailer with all night heating, with some windows broken, which is a bit illogical really. And as I caught a bus to get across to the other side of Carlacashe, I summoned a number of demons to um, inhabit her hostel, so to speak, started up torturing her 24/7 with the most grotesque, torturous, sadistic ways to create a smell, an odour, a scent of an open sewer or dead rats lying everywhere. Put demons to prevent people from coming into the hostel and having an enjoyable time, and make sure these people didn't come back. You may say this is harsh and maybe OTT going too far, but this bitch didn't show me respect. So why should I show her respect? She told me to watch what I say in future, but wouldn't give me the person's name and wouldn't tell me what I'm supposed to have said. So obviously her ass is so big she can withdraw up inside it. It's like a giant anaconda swallowing a warthog after it's crushed it. You get the picture? Well, I continued with my holiday, and I suppose about 9 months later, I found out from someone I had met again up in Scotland that a fight broke out in this same hostel one night, and the police were called. I put it down to cursing the bitch and the hostel because she deserved it. So that's what I tend to do when I travel around. Now you may say this is wrong of me, but if you look at the Bible says if you go to someone's house and when you leave you are treated in a hostile way, you brush the dust and dirt off your shoes back into the house. So what I've done can't be wrong because the Bible mentions similar things to it. So when I'm travelling around, if I get hostility shown to me from people that I don't know and I've never met before, I quickly examine their aura, remove any dark spirits and shove a demon on there. So they are tortured 24/7. So because they sometimes will know the management and get me kicked out, because that happened before. I remember a few years ago, I was up in Fort William. It was Easter, and the hostel I found was the only one open. Because in Easter time, all the hostels, B&Bs and hotels are booked. Because I didn't have much money, I had to stay in a hostel. And I arrived into the hostel, got my bunk for the night, went upstairs to unpack my stuff. There was a group of Welsh idiots who asked me what am I doing here in Easter time. So I told them I'm on holiday and a bit of business. And they asked me what I do. I said I'm a grey sorcerer. I said, really, do I have a demon on me? He asked me a question. I said, yeah, you do. With me, I'm the kind of person to call a spade a spade. No beating around the bush. But because this person didn't like my reply, when I went downstairs to get a coffee from the machine downstairs, the manager said to me, excuse me, mate, I'm going to ask you to leave. What did I do wrong? Nothing, because this person who asked the question is over the age of 21. So I shoved the demon on him as well. Now he's being tortured 24/7. Because I had to leave there, get my money back I'd paid, then go up the road for about 4 miles, which I had to get a taxi to go up there, looking for a B&B or a place to stay. So instead of paying £12 a night in this hostel, I had to pay £35 a night because this arsehole Welsh git didn't like the reply. If you don't want the reply, don't ask the question. So yeah, that's what happens. If someone says to me, do I have a demon on me? And I said, well, if you do, yeah, you do. And you deserve it because you're an asshole. But many people who ask for that question never ask me, is it one of mine? It's normally it is. Because I encounter assholes and morons and low-grade dickheads and twats and jerks and wankers on a regular basis. And these assholes are born to be punished. They are destined to encounter me, and I in turn punish them. Because that's their place in life, be punished. That's why they're assholes. So it's like Katie, if she was the guy, she'd be classed as an asshole. She has more fat on her than most sea lions. Oh, I'm wicked, aren't I? Going over the top. But she's mouthy. She is unpleasant. She is like a large dessert spoonful of mustard. Wow, that's overpowering, that is. So yeah, I mean, normally, if you're experiencing nightmares and tiredness, and when you're alone you can sense a dark spirit around you or an unpleasant presence around you, this means you have a demon. Not because you're evil or you're bad, because that you're unguarded and more likely you've encountered me, and I've been cursing you ever since. So, I am SV Dargan. I do hope you've enjoyed my rambling about Scotland and other places I've been to.